This is, as said, the first part of a module for this workshop that we call Skill and Competences. So we will look at different topics that also engage with your studies of European affairs. We will start this morning with Dr. Gianluca Sgueo, with, as you can see from the slide, a lecture on communication in the European Union and the challenges and the threats and the different environments in which this communication takes place. Dr. Sgueo is a perfect example of a European and transnational education. He studied both in Italy and at the New York University and in France at the Institut d'études politiques in Paris. He's a research analyst at the European Parliament.
Yeah.
He's also involved in a number of initiatives here in Italy. He has been working with the Office of the Prime Minister.
Mm.
We have the great luck that he's currently on leave and he's in Italy, not in Brussels. So we're very happy to have him with us. I think his lecture will last around 1 hour, maybe a couple of minutes more, after which you're welcome to ask questions. He's also accepted our offer to join us for lunch, just in case you have some additional questions. There will be time even afterwards. Give the floor.
Thank you very much. And if you don't mind, I stand up. I just like to have this. So I was telling Marco before this, and I hope you can hear me over there. Just tell me if I have to raise up my voice. The introduction from Marco basically told everything you need to know. I spent half of my week, a little bit more than a half of my week in Brussels in the, it's called European Parliamentary Research Service. I'll give you more details later. It's the politically neutral think tank of the European Parliament. So we provide data and research for MEPs and for the public. And then I'm from Rome, so my family is in Rome, and usually on Mondays I am in Florence for teaching at the New York University, who has a campus in Florence. So my life is about taking a lot of flights from Brussels to Rome and trains to Florence. And this title of the lecture that I will give you today was actually suggested by Marco. We had a phone conversation and I suggested, I know that you're going to spend some days in Brussels in June, and that there you will also have a simulation but also other information about how EU communication works. So what I thought it could be interesting for you is to give you a shot of the main challenges that European Union is now is having in this buzzword post-factual or post-truth. You know that this was the word of 2016 according to Oxford Dictionary's post-truth. So it's something that is affecting the EU deeply, as I will show you with a few case studies. And it's something that EU will have to deal with it's already dealing with it, but it will have to deal with in the coming years. So, that's what I would like to show you today. First, the institutional communication. Let me explain what do I mean by institutional communication. There's two different kinds of communications, both are relevant. The first one is political communication, and the other one institutional. Today I will focus on the latter, so the institutional communication. Just to give you a difference, you know that 3 days ago, if I'm not wrong, the European Parliament elected the new president, Antonio Tajani. Okay. The speech that Antonio Tajani gave to the other MEPs and to the outside world, it's an example of political communication. So he basically explained his agenda and what he would like to do during his mandate. The press release that the European Parliament released explaining how the vote had happened and what is the expectation for the European Parliament in the coming months with the main challenges. That is an example of institutional communication. I understand that it's sometimes confusing, and that applies especially in the age of post-truth, but mostly institutional communication happens from the institution, rather than the political communication, which is supposed to explain the political stance of the one who communicates. And I think it's interesting to see how it works, how it's working, this institutional communication, in what we call the post-factual society. To give you the definition, we define institutional communication as factual, so based on facts, neutral, because it's not supposed to be politically oriented, and third, informative. The main aim of institution communicating to the outside is to give an information on how something happened and how it's supposed to happen, so to give an information. On the other hand, the concept of a post-truth, it's about a fiction rather than a fact. What I'm selling you when I'm setting on this post-truth communication is not a fact, I'm trying to sell you something that I would like you to believe, which is not necessarily a fact. Actually, in most of the cases, it's not a fact at all. It's partisan, so it's politically oriented. It means that there is a clear political orientation in every case in which there is a post-truth kind of communication. And for this reason, it has a clear opinion on a specific topic. As you can see, apparently, institutional communication and post-truth are completely different and opposite. What I would like to show you is how these days the two forms of communications, the two ways of using information are overlapping increasingly. So I will start with giving you a very brief introduction on how the EU's institutional communication works. Then I will move to explain you with a few examples how deeply the post-truth is impacting on the European Union. And then I will give you a few hints on how the EU is reacting. So the question will be, is reacting to post-factual consumption of news the EU? Yes. How is it reacting effectively or not? Well, that is debatable. So how the institutional communication works in the European Union. This is the most typical explanation, yes, picture of the main bodies and institutions of the European Union. I'm sure you know already this one, so I'm not going into explaining you this. But why I'm using this slide? Because every of these bodies has in place an institutional structure for communicating outside. And let me take the example of the European Parliament and the European Commission. The European Parliament has a Director General for communication, institutional communication, and the European Commission has a body for communicating in every DG, plus one for the whole European Commission. And the same applies to all other institutions and bodies. Not only that, the European Parliamentary Research Service, where I work, which is a very small unit of the Directorate General Research of the Parliament, has a unit who is mandated for communicating outside the activity that we do. So, long story short, there is a large amount of people and structures who every day communicate institutionally, because I didn't mention the political communication, who communicate outside what we are doing, what the European institutions are doing. which in my opinion has a number of effects. The first one is this picture that I'm going to show you. You have the EU messages, so that is everything that concerns what the institutions are doing through a number of channels. Could be internet, could be traditional media, what are known as old media, so a newspaper, a press release, could be a Twitter account, could be a Facebook account, any kind of tool for sending outside a message. And then what happens is that you have the filter of the national governments. So all this information, when they get to the national media, in Italy, for example, could be the main newspaper is Corriere della Sera and the other one La Repubblica, are the two main newspapers. When they get here, the general public, which is all people who have any kind of access to information, they receive a message that has been already filtered by the national governments. Think about the Commission approving a decision about small and medium enterprises. If I was a journalist in writing the article, I would also have a call with the Minister of or the Director General in Italy who's going to take care of the small, medium enterprises. So I'm not just giving the information as it was made in the European Union, I'm also taking into account what is the national approach, national view of that topic. Plus, you have the advocacy or lobbying of civil society organizations, political parties, lobby organizations, which means the business sector, who also have an impact on how the media are elaborated before being delivered to the public. So, the most of the people in the European Union receive an information from many different structures, again, Commission, Director Generals, single structures of the Parliament, which is being filtered by a number of bodies and actors. Then we move to the elite public. The elite public, I think it could be represented by you. I didn't ask, but I hope, but I'm pretty sure that your consumption of news include more than a single source. So you maybe check your, I don't know if you have a Twitter account, you maybe check your Twitter timeline, then you go on a digital subscription that you have with some newspaper, or you buy a newspaper, or maybe you receive some magazine at home, The Economist or Le Monde Diplomatique, it depends on what you like to read. So you are already in the small part of people who have an access to a number of information and who has the ability to understand how certain information has been filtered. So you have the access to how that original information at the EU level was made. So, and you should be free, you're supposed to be free to decide what exactly you want to buy. You want to buy the message that was tailored in Brussels or Strasbourg, or you want to accept the transformation of this message along the process. What EU public, it's not interesting, as EU public is not the public of people living in EU, but it's people like me working in institutions. So in my case, I have even another stage of access. I have access to some sources of information that are internal. So this is a very small amount of people. What I'm trying to explain you here is that the most of the people, again, not people in this room, but the most of the people outside, have an access to information from the European Union which is not accurate. And it's not accurate first, because as I show you, there's many bodies that are communicating the same things, sometimes in different ways. And second, because as I will mention better in a few minutes, the information doesn't go straight from Brussels to Rome, but it's filtered by a number of actors who are doing their job, and their job is to influence the information. The other example that came to my mind this morning, so I decided to mention to you, it's again about the institutional political communication. I told you that there is a clear difference, but at the same time, I have to admit that most of the time the two kinds of information overlap. Do you know anything about roaming charges? About the EU taking care of roaming charges? Have you heard anything about it? What's happening in about roaming charges in the EU? Sorry? I heard something there.
I was asking on roaming, like roaming.
Yeah, well, yeah, like, you know, when you have a mobile, okay,
Yeah.
just to give you my example, for a number of reasons I have, even if I'm a lot of time in Brussels, I have an Italian number, right? So every time I'm not covered by a Wi-Fi and I receive an email or I receive a call, I pay because that is the roaming that my company charges on me for all the traffic outside of the Italian border.
Yeah.
But do you know what's going to happen? Supposed to happen in a few
No,
months.
the European.
One of the two are Mera.
Yes, they will start charging for roaming inside the EU,
Yes.
but I don't remember the year.
Oh, well, actually, the year is supposed to be 2017. 2017. It's been announced since 2014 at least. If you go on Google and you Google roaming charges EU, you will find slides from the European Commission dating back to 2014. But anyway, the final deadline was supposed to be 2017. Why I'm mentioning roaming charges with regard to communication and institutional and political. I don't know if you are aware of this, but a few months ago, I think it was October, early October, suddenly the European Commission, institutional communication, communicates outside, well, we have been reconsidering a little bit the roaming charges. So we're still on the position of cutting these charges. However, in order not to impact the market, we thought that if Gianluca Square is free to deal a contract with a Bulgarian company who will charge him half of what his Italian company is charging him now, what he will do as a consumer, Gianluca Square will go to the Bulgarian company, subscribe to that contract, and then he will use that contract everywhere in Europe, even in Italy, even if he lives in Italy. These will probably affect the market. I'm not an expert of antitrust, but it might create a problem. So, what we propose, and that is a press release from the Commission, is 90 days maximum of no roaming charges, and the rest of the days of the year you will have to pay as you paid before. Which, if I was traveling as a tourist, 90 days of holidays outside of Italy would be a luxury, so I would be happy. But think about many people that nowadays have to travel all the time around Europe, that is not a good deal. Institutional communication. Few hours later, I don't remember if in the evening or the morning after, President of the Commission, Juncker, with another press release, political communication, says, no. We promised European citizens to cut off the roaming charges, so the Commission, I promise myself, the face of the Commission, that this will be done. And then again, a few days after, the Commission sends out a new press release with a very complicated algorithm that is supposed to be the calculation of how the roaming charges will be eliminated. So, two things out of this. First, just to show you how political communication and institutional communication can sometimes overlap or even be one against each other. And second of all, that I'm still not sure if we're not going to pay roaming charges. That is something that hopefully we'll know in a few months. Now that I gave you just a hint of the complexity of European